time to get your helmets on, because it's time to go to battle. All the way from Studio B, it's showtime for Ken and John, the Detroit Sports Authorities.
Hi, everybody. John Sarver, CKiW, iRADIO 76. This is the Detroit Sports Authorities. Man, before we do anything, we better call Kenny Boy in here as soon as a bucket, because on this fine Halloween night, you know, it's interesting. Oh, God. Happy Halloween, dude.
Hey, John. How are you?
Slightly cold, but yet I'm steamed, as they say.
Oh.
But first we should say it, everybody. Welcome to the Detroit Sports Authority, the only place that's not bought and paid for anybody's other sports team in the great state of Michigan. Also, we are the 129th longest running worldwide web podcast for fine sporting events. Also, we're not bought and paid for by anybody. I'm trying to remember the whole thing. Let's see. We do have the highest standards. Let's see. All the opinions are all our own. Don't bug us, etc. So,
want to wish a pleasant evening to all of our Halloweeners out there.
No, we're not. So there. So we're taking it all back. I mean, I was like, I'm out there. I got the bucket full of the big Kit Kats. And I mean, these Kit Kats are as big as a sheet of plywood that you can't fit in your car. I mean, these things, it's like we're going to be the house this year. You know, it's like we're going to be mugged. And it's like, okay, ooh, here it comes, 5:55, 5:58, 6 o'clock. Yay! No! All right, well, they're just warming up or something. 5:10, 5:15, I'm calling Sue, see what's going on her side. They got a ton of kids, 5:20, 5:30. And it's kind of looking like a Galapalo kind of pass down the center of the field. There ain't nothing going on. And so, and then it starts to snow a little bit, probably about 10-2. And I'm thinking, oh, you know what? The first kid that comes to this door, I'm going to make their day. You can have the whole 9 yards, but nada. A little bit of snowflakes, and we got no snowflakes today. We got nobody. I mean, not one kid. Now, here we go. We got to set back the Wayback Machine to young Ken when he went out trick-or-treating. Please tell me you went trick-or-treating in the young Ken days, I mean,
oh, my God, yeah. They had to drag me in. It was terrible. I was out there, and the snow was flying, and it was uphill every step of the way, both ways. But I punched through because, man, I knew at the end I was going to get that sugar shock.
Oh, hell yeah. And, the good thing was, too, is that, and that was right before bed.
Yeah.
And then it only takes, like, when you get older, do you understand that when you came back and dumped out your sheet, your pumpkin, whatever, your pillowcase, the parents are going through the good stuff, or they're recycling it because they didn't buy enough. And then when you got home, it was, and we were talking about this a little earlier today, it's like you went home and then you divvied. Okay, so here's the Snickers over here, here's the black licorice over here, here's, the apple that we're going to throw away just on you don't give apples to kids, or the homemade cookies. Don't give me that stuff. I need a Mars bar, man. I need the sugar rush.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate that you have, craftsmanship that you can make, find cookies and stuff like that. But it's like, I'm here for the sugar. I mean, how many times did you have to go back and dump your pillowcase out?
Oh, like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, and I mean, you were like what, on the South School side, weren't you? The subdivision?
Yes.
So, man, you had a mile by mile square.
Yeah.
And think of the great shame that was if your porch light was not on. I mean, that was just a gimme,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, did you go out by yourself? Did you go out with the pack of kids?
Usually 2 or 3.
All right, and everybody had to be, let's see, what, Milk Plum at the time, or maybe Landry, or maybe Munson, dress up like Gordie Howe back in the day. Yeah, okay.
Old Gordie, yep.
Did you guys get any kids?
No.
God, I can't believe that.
No.
Here's the story. From here on in, Kenny, this is what we're going to do. All right, you want to see how it's done, kids? Next year, we're going to send us out. We'll go trick-or-treating. We'll show you how it's done. Maybe they lost their way. Maybe it was like one of these things from the Incas that everybody forgot how it was done through the generations. We're going to go back out next year. We'll show them how it's done, man. You're not coming home. And you're not going in your mom's car from house to house to house either. So you're not going to do that, and you're not going to step on the grass, and you're going to say thank you when you're done.
Uh-huh.
So there. All right. So talk about being done. Say, don't you wish you're at U of M right now?
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, I mean, we would never do that stuff. I mean, it was like, you know what I also hated too? I hated plastic pumpkins and the kids that had the plastic pumpkins with the eyes that lit up, so they could see where they're going. What the hell's that? You get, I mean, down to the point where you had like dads going around with black plastic bags where you just like, instead of having to go all the way home, I mean, this was kind of like one of those cutoff points, dump here, so to speak. And if you had to go to the bathroom, I mean, that was the only time that you could walk a whole mile and never have to go to the bathroom, ever. It is kind of weird how that works, but all right. So, talking about weird as works as we're just going into right now. Amazing but true. Why would you want to be on the University of Michigan football staff today, Ken Pocket?
Well, because I like being investigated. I like being scrutinized. I like being penalized. I'm a masochist.
All right, Ken. Way to go. That's our honest Ken Pocket.
It's interesting, though, when you hear the excuse making. And it's getting, you can tell, the screen is starting to show. They're coming up with more and more elaborate excuses. Well, everybody else does it too. Like who?
Yeah.
Well, everybody. Well, give me a name. Everybody.
That everybody person. Well, all right, give me a name. Oh, well, then, just shut the hell up. I can't talk to you anyways. Hey, what's over there? That's when you're caught, It's like when you push them to say, look, tell me a fact. Give me a real fact, a undisputable fact. Well, bullshit. Fuck this. Okay. Win one for the Ken column. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they all do it. Then how come they all haven't got busted for it? And now and it's every day, there's something new going on. And now the guys on the sidelines at CMU. What? Okay. Okay. I mean, this guy's everywhere. I mean, does he not have a job?
Yeah. Well, and he did it all on his own. Nobody else knew a thing. And it didn't help him anyway, because it didn't make any difference. And
we're going to still win anyways, and we're still number 2 rated, and all of our second halves, somehow, some way, we look up for a divine intervention, and they tell us, this is how we're going to beat these teams, and that's why we put everybody away in the second half of all these games as soon as they were talking about getting rid of Harbaugh. Okay, I'll follow that. I mean, it's crazy things happen, and there is, some crazy circumstances where stuff does happen, but no. If it walks like an Oregon duck, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like you got to be, from here on forward, forever, as long as Harbaugh is there, everyone's going to talk about this. I mean, if he's there for the next 10 years, the only reason why you beat us is somehow, some way, you're still doing the sign thing. I mean, even Major League Baseball, who are the most lenient idiots of all time, blew people out for a year. I give you AJ.
Yeah.
All right, well, good luck to them. What do they? All right, so lucky for them, they have, and I think, the NC2A, I think, is like saying, please, somebody beat them. Somebody give them a one loss. Please, please. But then again, if they lose to Penn State, which is doubtful because Penn State looks like ass right about now, if they lose to Penn State and Ohio State loses to Michigan, now what do? You're not going to go to Clemson.
What a mess, huh?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Well, at least we don't have to worry about Iowa. There's actually speculation if they won out and won the Big Ten championship, would they go to the playoff? Iowa.
Iowa?
Enough to lose. Yeah.
What's Iowa's record right now, Ken?
Well, they've actually backed away. They at one point had one loss, so they were.
Oh, too bad.
Yeah. So we're thankful for that.
Yeah, but here's the story. If Michigan plays Wisconsin, okay, now what? I mean, who's ever the leader of the leader side and the leaders of the best or the greatest or whatever they originally had those two stupid things? But it's kind of weird, Kenny. Has the Big Ten said anything about this? Because they know about everything that's going on about the investigation.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything that they've said. They're kind of stepping back and saying, well, ew.
Yeah, well, how are they going to say, look, you know what, you guys, you're a bunch of frauds, and you got caught red-handed. But we can't give up the money that we'd be losing, so try not to do this anymore, okay, guys?
Yeah. It kind of goes like this. We're investigating.
Yeah, and dragging our feet so we can get through this and pray God, somebody bump these guys off. But how do you bump them off if they're knowing what your signals are? Look how fast they got rid of Tucker for beating off over the phone 1,800 miles away from MSU. But this is a real thing, throwing games. This is just almost this side of betting, because here's the story. If this guy knows, then what's the chances that he hasn't told his fans, his friends on FanDuel? I mean, this could go super, super deep. Who all of a sudden starts betting second half of U of M? I mean, I would love to see what the betting does now, Ken. I mean, first half, there's no betting on Wolverine games. Second half, look at this money.
Gee, it's almost like somebody knew something.
Yeah.
No, can't be.
Yeah.
Can't be.
But, so now what, Ken? All right, so we got 4 more games to go. Little by little, things come out every single day,
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now if you're the Grand Poobah with all the muscle and might and a bowl full of Kit Kats that I have presently on the table upstairs. What would you do?
That's a tough one. At the end of the day, what I'm going to do is whatever makes the most money. Because if I didn't give that answer, I wouldn't be running a sports organization. Would I?
Yeah. We're not even going to pretend anymore, people. I mean, it's like we're here for the cash. If we're cheating, oh well. Everybody, instead of killing us for cheating, let's just bring everybody into the game. Everybody can now steal signals. There, that's a lot easier than go out of our way and lose millions of dollars if U of M had to be suspended for a year.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, all right.
Yeah, let's face it. Everything has just turned into a big cash grab.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
perfectly agree.
There's no sense lying about it anymore, right?
Yeah. I mean, Kenny, do you think? Because I always hate leading the witness, but would you agree with me? Every time I hear that, it's instantaneous no. No matter what you're asking me, my answer is no. It's almost to the point where 2023 was the year where college football, I'm not so sure about basketball yet or whatever, but it has just came out to be the ultimate fraud.
Yeah.
It's just a front for FanDuel. It's a front for DraftKings. It's a front for all this. I mean, we kind of knew it before, wink, wink. But now it's so far out there. I mean, anything for money, forget about the rules, forget about the sportsmanship, because that's what the NC2A was supposed to be all about. We're going to just, we're the police, so everybody's fair, and it's one big kumbaya. And now?
Now it's like, well, look over there.
Yeah. It's now, you got to wonder if you're Goodell, and you look over from your NFL perch and you go, God, man, those guys really, in the NC2A, they really got it going. That's something really to admire. Look at all the money they're pulling off. They don't even pretend. I mean, it's kind of like when wrestling, when they came out and said, well, we're sports entertainment. We're not even pretending anymore. You know it. We know it. Place your bets, because that's all it is. There is no feel-good stories anymore. There is no more Colorado with Coach Prime and all that where everybody was pushing for him. There is no, some farmer kid from Nebraska turns out to be the Heisman winner. Doesn't matter anymore. Nobody cares. And Kenny, have you heard this lately? Well, the reason why I like college more than the pros is because those kids try, and they really try every single Saturday.
Oh, boy, that was a good one, wasn't it?
Well, that kind of went, I mean, at one time, maybe in the 70s, maybe in the 80s, when it truly was at amateur athletics. But now with the NIL and all that stuff, you guys are making, some NIL money is more than what folks are making on the line in Jacksonville. Okay. Mm-hmm. So why am I going to the pros if I'm making this kind of cash here and in a comfy life? And if I'm like at Alabama or Clemson or not so much Rutgers, I'm the king of this campus. I ain't going anywhere. There's no reason for me to jump in to get a rookie contract. I'm making the cash here, baby.
Yeah, we have basically taken sports and frankly, it started with the Olympics, I think. Remember how the Olympics, you used to hear about the amateur ideal, the purity of the amateur athletics, right?
Here's the IOC, yep.
And they turned that thing into such a money-grubbing show. And they watered it down so much where you have synchronized swimming as an Olympic event.
Flag football, son.
Yeah, that's next up. Flag football.
I mean, why flag football? Nobody watch. I mean, I can understand, dear Olympics, you're supposed to be here where sports are, where people kind of know and kind of play. Who the hell, besides sixth graders, and I'm not sure they do that anymore, plays flag football? How are you going to get guys like a dream team from the NFL to play flag football? Who in the Philippines are playing flag football? How many Germany teams are playing flag football? Who asked for this?
Yeah, and in fact, in countries, when you mention the word football, they don't think the points on the end of it.
Yeah, right. I mean, here's what I think, and see what you think there, Kenny. How much did the IOC look over to the NFL and go, there's some kind of money there. If we bring in football into the place, now we couldn't actually play real college kind of style football, but if we played flag football that nobody will give a damn about,
Yeah.
But we can get some NFL money because I'm sure the NFL would love to, cross-pollinate with us. And then we make even more
like
cash.
Giant money laundering scheme, isn't it?
Funny how you were just about to say that. I mean, it's almost to the point where the Olympics stopped in 1972. Nobody wants the Olympics anymore. It's a financial burden around anybody's neck. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
It's like if you really want to see the downhill skier from Norway, turn on ESPN, turn on whatever one channel you have now. It's not, and it's like there is nobody that, it's like, oh boy, look at America. You're not going to have another Mark Spitz. You're not going to have another Mary Lou Retton. You're not going to have any of these people that won gold and then come back to America and have, their faces on the Wheatie boxes. Nobody cares.
Ooh.
And especially if you are in a country where it's like, 180 off from us and you got to be up at 3 a.m. to watch all the Olympic sports, nobody cares. Nobody cares if you win a gold. Nobody cares. There is no American pride when it comes to sporting events anymore. Nobody cares. If you're the Yankees and the Red Sox, they care. I can't think. All right, Kenny, here you go. Ready? What country would we want to play to be like, ooh, we can't wait to beat them, like a Jesse Owens and Hitler kind of thing. I can't. Boy. I mean, who would we beat? And even if we did beat, we would shrug shoulder and go, eh.
Yeah. Very tough to look at it that way because we don't really have any rivalries that like we used to have.
Because we don't care anymore.
That's one of the problems I think with sports in general is that there aren't that many rivalries left.
True.
You look at college football. They've watered those down.
Yeah.
You get to the point where you get Michigan and Ohio State, but it used to be, the winner of the game would go to the Rose Bowl. No, not the case anymore.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Ken. I mean, really, there was so many different rivalries at one time. I mean, they're even trying to get Penn State to be a rivalry. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of, that's always kind of like AAA ball rivalry. I mean, they're good on some years, they're horrible some other years, but they're just enough to be in the conversation. It's, I don't know. There is no right. I mean, there is no more. Please, dear God, please stop running Red Wings in Colorado. All right? We've seen it. We've done it. You squeezed out every last little piece of water in that thing. Most of the people that had high testosterone levels then who loved to see, the turtle get his head beat in, are now taking little blue pills. Nobody can. We've seen it. It's old. It's done. It's like when Sue and her mom watches the Tiger game, and it's raining, and they trot out the highlights of '84. It's done. There is no. I mean, how much do you feel, Ken, that we have this rivalry against the Padres?
None. Zero. Hey, John.
You're right. Yeah.
How do you feel about the big rivalry between the Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks?
Yeah, right. Radio for one. I mean, you're absolutely right.
You have the fifth team in the American League against the sixth team in the National League.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you don't even have
chirping as we speak, aren't they?
You don't even have glory teams. You don't have the Dodgers, Yankees. I mean, you got West Coast, East Coast. Pick 'em. Now, I mean, how close can basically when you had the Astros playing the Rangers, who cared? It's the Battle of Texas. Yeah. If you lived in one of those two cities, yay for you. But the whole reason why that there is baseball teams from sea to shining sea is that at least regionally you can say, well, that's an East Coast team, and we kind of identify with an East Coast team because not too many Midwest teams actually make it. It's like, okay. But, I mean, when you have Houston, what was your ratings? Houston and Arlington, and now, I mean, it's kind of like the All-Star retiree race. It should have been the Marlins and Diamondbacks, even though that couldn't happen. But, I mean, it's like the retirees would have loved it, but nobody cares. Right now, you ask people, you go, oh, yeah, baseball's still going on, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many people are still going, because, I mean, yesterday we had a Sporgy in Detroit. I mean, you had Wings, Pistons, and, the Lions playing. I mean, how many people, if it's not in your city anymore, are you watching baseball? Are you watching the play? Nope. I mean, same thing with the Stanley Cup. If it's not your city, we shut down, and we're hockey town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The problem is because it's all so watered down anymore.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So you have we're always told this great sporting event, great, everything's great, but it isn't.
Yeah.
So you have like I said, you have the fifth American League team and the sixth National League team. And we're told this is one for the ages, right? It's like every time we were having an election coming up, and we always hear this is the most important election of your lifetime. Well, I thought the last one was. Well, that was too, but this one now.
Yeah, but that one set this one up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, go back to he's in the best shape of his life coming in. I mean, all your hyperbole. I mean, some stuff with elections, that kind of, determines your future and markets and stuff. So that's a little bit different. But, I mean, this is like the Super Bowl to end all Super Bowls. No, it's not. I couldn't think of two teams right now that could play. Kansas City, Dallas? I mean... And there's another thing, and it was something that you talked about just a few minutes beforehand, about the no rivalry things and all that stuff. In the 80s, in the 90s, even if you didn't know what football was, folks, for some God reason, especially white folks, had Super Bowl parties. And they were fun. They were kind of cute. People had potluck. You'd go at somebody's house. Maybe you didn't know them very well, but... they invited you from work or, some neighbors or something to get together. And it was kind of, it was kind of fun. It was, but nobody watched the game. Nobody cared. No. Most people don't know how the game's played. You ask them what a Tampa 2 is, and they would go somewhere in Florida. It's like, okay. But that was then. Now nobody cares. Now they've been so, and this goes exactly to the heart of your discussion, your thought. This is the greatest Super Bowl ever, with the greatest halftime show you will not want to miss.
Yeah.
No. It's almost...
Yeah, we got a great one this year. We got 60-year-old Madonna sliding down a pole.
Where's this at?
Okay. You remember a few years ago they had the Super Bowl with Madonna.
Yeah.
And she's like 60 years old or 55 or something. Oh, yeah, she's going to be sliding down a pole. She's 60 years old.
Yeah, but you get Malone out there, and it's like, who's this guy? Says all the boomers. Why don't they get somebody good like the Rolling Stones or something? And it's like, because we've kind of, we're past the ZZ Top, Bruce Springsteen, kind of, the Who. These guys are 70 to 80 years old now. Which it's still you want to see. You don't get penalized for age and stuff like that. But, if you get somebody now, that disastrous one they had with Snoop Dogg and Eminem and Missy and all that stuff. Yike. Yike. Again, radio for one. But again, you go down to the very first one, and they had Up With People. All those scrubby white-faced kids with, the women with a little white pleated skirt, which, okay, I would admit I would watch again. That would be must-see TV. But, they were all singing, like, versions of Beatles songs and stuff. That was awful. But now it's, it's like even this year at the parade. Who's the big deal parade guest star?
Who's that?
Sport figure. Played with the Lions. Is
Gary Sanders?
Arguably the worst guy behind a microphone when it comes to sports.
Lomas Brown.
Ding, 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 ding.
Huh.
How the hell are you a parade marshal? Look, why don't you just, grab the guy off the street? You, going into Walgreens, come here for a minute. You want to be the parade marshal? This is where Sue and I suit up every, Thanksgiving morning at 2 a.m., freeze our buns, dragging, 500 gallons of helium in, or this year will be Transformers, so look out, kids. But for Lomas Brown... Remind me, Ken, how good was Lomas Brown?
Well, he was pretty good. Played on a shit team.
Played on an all-time shit team. So I guess if you're the least shitty, then okay, you're the star. He did have some numbers to back him, but oh my God, is he awful. Awful. I thought Paul Woods, when he first started, was the worst, but he is light years away from Lomas Brown. Anywho, so that's coming up. So that's must-see TV. It's whoever's going to go to the Super Bowl, and chances are good it's going to be the Lions because they got Donovan Peoples today.
I heard that name, and I said, Mr. Mary Elephant? Might as well have been.
Class. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we're looking at that too, and as soon as we saw Sweat go away, and we saw the fine friend from Ohio State go away for like a 6th rounder, it was like, what? I think Sweat went away for a 3rd rounder. And it's like, you wouldn't pick him up for a 3rd rounder, even as a rental? Now is the time, boys. Because, did you watch any of the game last night?
Yes.
At first half, I thought... I thought first half they were going to lose this game. You know, I mean, the defense got no push. The O-line was just like, oh, you want to get to our quarterback? Go right over there, man. You know, Max was just nuts. I mean, how did we miss not getting this guy?
Yeah, well, you look at how they scheme up the defense, and you're like, well, you didn't learn much from last week, did you? You know,
no, not at all.
And after a while, then they started blitzing more and put pressure on Garoppolo, and he folded like a cheap suit.
Yeah.
Oh, he was terrible.
Yeah, that's an insult
but
to cheap
suits. For a while, it looked like they weren't really too much engaging in it. Like, wow. I think Jahmyr Gibbs had a pretty good game. I mean, he just started feeding him the ball just about every play right from the get-go, and it's like, wow, you mean it this time, don't you?
Are you sold on him, Ken? Mr. Gibbs?
I'm not going to say sold. Last night looked good.
Yeah, but you're also playing the number 30 run defense. You know,
yep.
But I mean, it's a tale of two worlds. Look at what the Ravens did. Look what these guys did. You know, I mean, they shut him down and then they let him loose. Okay, I mean, I don't think he's as good as Montgomery, but you're never going to have Montgomery.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I look at Gibbs and I say, you know, he's a guy that, you know, we'll just have to wait and see. But
yeah,
I think that's true with every. I mean, you know, there are people out there now saying, well, we got to, you know, we should get rid of Jamison Williams. It's like, well, it's number one, it's a little too late for that. You're not going to get anything for him if you move on from him. So, I mean, you kind of, at this point, you're kind of committed to playing it out and see what he becomes. But, you know, this is a team that has shown the ability to develop players. And what I've seen out of him so far, as I've said before, the clock is running. And he's got to earn that fifth-year option by the end of next season, or he's going to get it. So,
yeah, that you know.
What I saw last.
Go ahead.
What I saw last night was more of the same. So,
I mean, it's too early to call him a bust, but you could put BU out there. You know. I mean, if you're playing the game horse, I mean, he's got two letters. I thought it was very innovative to give him a handoff. Hey, there you go. But he doesn't know how to go through a line. That's not his gig. But they thought, you know, if he got the ball with his speed, you know, if he got a seam, he's gone. That's a good idea. Maybe for a guy who can't catch, could you make him into, you know, into a running back? But then again, the guy weighs 12 pounds. He'll get killed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
And by the way, that you already got one of those in Gibbs.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But I think what's happening is that so many Lion fans are going, well, you know, just wait till after the break. We're going to get everybody back after the bye. No, you're not. You know, I'll be damned impressed if you get... if you get Montgomery back by the Vikings game.
Yeah.
You know, but you could have...
It's not going to matter anyway, though, because if you look at the Vikings, they're all shredded.
Yeah.
With Cousins out, they're done.
We're
going to start Darren Hall at quarterback? Really?
Awesome, wasn't it? That's the best you would have got. I'm telling you, I would have said... Hey, Detroit, I know that you got Bridgewater on your team there. We kind of know that guy, you know, and he's talented for a backup. He's a lot better than what you could got from any other team. Okay, so what would you guys like to, since you trade with us anyways, you know, here's Hawk. You know, we'll take Hawkinson, TJ back. You get him. I mean, I would have said, okay, how much you want for Bridgewater? You know, and just pray to God that Goff doesn't get hurt.
Well, here's the thing I'm looking at. You look at around the division. You got Chicago. Chicago is a team that has absolutely no clue what it's doing. It just picks up a pass rusher now for draft capital. It's like, I thought you're rebuilding. I think you're supposed to be collecting draft capital. Oh, no, we're going to win today. You're 2-6.
Yeah, and
Green Bay. Jordan Love. There's no love there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now you got Minnesota. Minnesota's broken.
Yeah, you don't have your best receiver. You don't have your quarterback. I mean, everybody thought that, on the third game that Love was going to be something. It was like something that was just ordained in Green Bay that next man up, next quarterback up is going to be with us for 15 years and be great. Well, you found that hole on this one. I mean, even you could see even back when he was, when Aaron got hurt for the couple of seasons ago, this kid didn't have it at all. I mean, why didn't they draft somebody also? If they really, really thought that as soon as Aaron went, that this kid was just going to step up his game. He doesn't have game. He doesn't have it. He's like Justin Fields, doesn't have it. Is close, kind of is tantalizing sometimes, doesn't have it. And you're right. And Chicago goes and gets Sweat today. What the hell? We should have got him. And so now you got like this real badass defensive dude. And you're right. At 2-6, all of a sudden you're going to run the table? GLTY, good luck to you, man.
Yeah.
So what was the point? And I think you're right. I mean, somehow, some way, I think, and see what you think about this, Ken. What do you think the chances were that the Fords bought another team?
Not sure you're asking.
But chances are, the theory that's going on right now is that the Ford family bought the Chicago Bears because they didn't like, talent, and they didn't like, being in first place. So they wanted to get a real floundering kind of crappy football team that makes them feel a lot better. That's what they're used to. And so now you're seeing all these bizarre things going on in Chicago. And it's like, shoo, thank God. So really, William Clay isn't dead. He's in Chicago with the old lady. Hey!
I've got a different theory. Try this one out.
I like it. Go ahead.
For all these years, we've been focused on the dysfunction of the Detroit Lions. And it's been just so horrific.
True.
It's been a dumpster fire on top of a plane crash, on top of a train derailment. Okay?
Yeah.
And it's hard to avert your eyes from the next fiasco that they would bring you. And they would bring it to you with a smile on their face and say, look what we've done for you now. Right? Well, now we've actually not had to deal with that kind of nonsense. And now we're looking around the league, and we're actually stunned that it isn't really rare. Half of the teams in the NFL are owned by morons.
Yeah.
And it's shocking the level of incompetence that you see between the ownership and the idiots that they hire to run them. Oh, my God. It's like, well, we may have been the worst of a bad lot, but we weren't alone.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. We were so close to the trees, we didn't see the forest. And we didn't really see, the Commanders. We didn't really see, Arizona for the craziness that's going down there right now. We didn't, the Cardinals, we didn't see, Chicago starting to really, because Chicago was always going to be, as soon as you saw that they traded up for Mitch, you kind of went, there's something weird going on here, and they kept him, and it's like there's something even weirder going on. And when they started playing musical quarterbacks, I mean, it's down where, where Pittsburgh did their draft, and you went, why? And the Giants, with Jones, and you go, why? But we never saw that. We just thought, well, at least they're winning. We're just, the perennial doormat. Why? Mm-hmm. And so now you're right. Now that we're above ground, and now that we can look down into the water and we can see all the really bad fish is running around, we go, phew, thank God. I mean, it is. I almost go the other way, Ken. Who is in the NFL has run well, in your opinion?
Who has run well? Obviously, you got to put Kansas City there.
Yep.
I'd say Baltimore.
Good.
I'm gonna. Let's see.
I can see the intern running.
Yeah. The Niners, by and large. Seattle.
Yep. But see, the
40 after that, doesn't it?
49ers, with the DeBartolo family and all that stuff, that was kind of upsy-downsy for a while,
Yeah.
But, it's amazing that they leveled out right now. But, yeah, you're right. And then it gets weird. Atlanta should be a lot better than they are. Jacksonville was a mess. I'm trying to think who was at one time, Green Bay was just a management machine. Wind them up, let them go. And so many, from the crowd, from the fans, from the stadium, from everything, they wind them up, let them go. And now you don't have, I'd almost say you don't have a competent owner in the NFL North, but Minnesota doesn't make any real waves, but they never, they're the perennial second place.
Mm-hmm.
Always second place, no matter what. Even when they had Fran Tarkington, they never ever really kind of. It was kind of like Miami with Marino. Always you knew who they were. They were on the Wheaties boxes, but they never won anything. Yeah, that is kind of weird because I'm trying to think. They're really. Dallas maybe, but it's just such a weirdo owner,
Yeah.
But they're successful. I guess you have to separate successful with well-run teams. Atlanta should be.
Well, when you say successful, regarding the Dallas Cowboys, you're thinking back about 20 years, aren't you?
Yeah, but even now. Like this year, they're in the conversation, as one of the top teams this year, top 5 teams, and in power ranking, they're like top 8. And it's like, I'm trying to think why, but okay. You're not going to confuse them. At one time, Denver whoever was running that ship was doing a hell of a job. Oops, Sorry about that one. We might as well go. Some of these teams in the NFL, you might as well get managers from Mountains West, my favorite conference, or the Pac-2. Dear Pac-12, just go away. Seriously, you're going to try to go on with just 2 teams now?
Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has left the building.
Yeah, it's unless you're some way somehow you're going to try to pick out like somebody from Mountain West. If you're going to go for somebody that is smaller, something that is ACC. But the cool thing is there still an ACC after next year, Ken? I'm trying to remember which ones are going away.
I'm not sure what they've done with that.
Because we were looking at fine TV packages, and nobody's a better sport person than Granny, but you kind of think that if you get DirecTV, you get the ACC package and you get the SEC package. And it's like, oh, that's not bad, but, SEC is going to be there, but ACC, unless I'm trying to think, unless I want to watch basketball, but now they're going to become next year. I think they become more lopsided now, don't they? Don't they become the big Power 5?
Well, the ACC has added SMU, Cal, and Stanford. So the Athletic Coast Conference is now going to include West Coast teams.
Yeah, because it makes so much sense. Like the Big Ten now has how many West Coast teams? You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and the Big Ten no longer has 10 teams and hasn't for years.
And they're not even big. You know,
yeah.
Look at Iowa. I mean, look at Illinois. Look at Indiana. I mean, you guys are only here just because of your basketball team. Why can you not? You know, especially Illinois with all the Chicago kids you got running around and stuff over there. How do you not field a team every year? But I mean, it's like the Big Ten thanks you because you're the Kansas City Royals of the Big Ten. Thank you, guys. You know, that means that the good teams will never be crummy, you know, because we'll always have you to look down on. We'll always have Northwestern. What is Northwestern doing in a Big Ten conference? You know, I mean, you could.
And we don't even need to steal their signs, do we?
Yeah, we give them our signs. We give them our signs. Here, this is what we're doing. But I mean, really, if you really want to make a power conference, you get rid of Illinois, you get rid of Indiana, you get rid of Northwestern, you get rid of Rutgers. Maryland always, you know, some years okay, some years, but never great, you know. I mean, if you really want to show like a true SEC back in the day when it was like just about every team was lethal, look at all the fat that you could get out of Big Ten. Or Big Ten football, because I'm trying to think in our lifetime, Kenny, how many times was Indiana like number one?
Ooh.
Yeah, right. You know, Northwestern is, again, like Kansas City. Nothing, champion. Nothing, champion. You know, but it's long. Nobody cares about Northwestern. You know, they're a cute little heartwarming story when they're like 4-4 at mid. You know, nobody cares.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think of all. I mean, I almost don't care about Nebraska. You know, keep Iowa because everybody still thinks about Mr. Fry. Wisconsin. Oh, okay. Let's go this way, Kenny. What teams would you keep in the Big Ten to make it just an outstanding top to bottom? This is the conference of conferences.
Well, obviously, of Michigan, Ohio State.
Yep.
Penn State.
Would you keep Wisconsin?
I guess I would. Yeah, Wisconsin. I would say. Yeah.
Iowa.
Yeah, I would say Iowa.
Okay.
Purdue has a pretty good basketball team usually.
Yeah. Yeah, right. See, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I would sacrifice a really good Fighting Illini and Indiana basketball teams, you know, because you bring money, but you don't bring money like your football teams do. So I'm not basing it on your total school or what you're going to bring in on the 64. But since money talks and it comes from football, you know, anything that starts with the letter I, goodbye.
Yep.
So goodbye. I mean, you don't need Rutgers anymore because you got the package. You got the Big Ten package now. You don't need the New York market because nobody gives a damn about Rutgers football except for folks back in 1883. You know, the birthplace of football. Well, evidently, it's still acting like a baby. Because it's a cool name, Rutgers. I mean, that's just like manly, you know. But it's like you guys haven't fielded a team in decades. You know, so you keep Michigan, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Iowa. Maybe it'd be easier to figure out what you're going to jettison. Get rid of Indiana. Get rid of Northwestern. Blah, blah. get rid of Michigan State. I wouldn't keep Michigan State around. Let them go to like Pac-12. Maybe that's what they should have done. It's like, look, Pac-12, how much money would you give us? Since you're coming out this way anyways. I mean, you really think about it. Pac-12 team would go to, now the Big Ten. You have two California teams. You're going to have to play Rutgers. You're going to have to play Maryland. Holy jump! What a plane trip that is.
Yeah.
And get there on Saturday. What are all these student athletes going to have to give up their studies on Thursday so they can get on the plane and be in there by the NC2A 24 hours? You have to be there before the game begins thing. Woo! Pretty impressive there. All right. Talking about which, what do you think about the Wings?
Good start. They hit a little bit of a bump there, but 6-3-1 is pretty good. So I'm encouraged.
We'll take it. All right. So, what's that?
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
I see Pistons are off to a credible start. They're 2-2 now. Yeah. They could have easily been
3-1, but horseshoes and hand grenades. Yeah. However, I mean, now you're taking a look at Mr. Cunningham. He may not be all that in a bag of chips. Stay tuned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So, what, young man? Because I know that you want to get back to your candy. What didn't we talk about in one whole minute?
Oh, we didn't talk about our favorite baseball team here, the Detroit Tigers. Interestingly enough, I see that our old buddy Eduardo Rodriguez has opted out of the remainder of his contract.
No kidding.
What a shock. Nobody saw that coming. Here's a guy, Al Avila signed him to this contract, gives him a 2-year opt-out. In the first year of the contract, he basically vanishes.
Right, yeah.
He disappears. Nobody has heard from him. He's out on an island somewhere. And at the end of the year, he comes back and pitches a couple games. Gets back this year. He's pitching pretty well. And ouch. Ouchie, ouch, ouch. I can't pitch. Goes on the shelf for a while.
Long while.
Comes back, pitches a couple of games. And the team says, okay, what we want to do is we want to trade you to the Dodgers. So we've got this deal all set up. And he goes, oh, okay. Yeah, I can't wait to go out and play for the Dodgers. Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. Can't do it.
Yeah.
And they go, wait a minute. The trade deadline just passed. Oh, can't do it. Sorry. Nope, not going to go.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, I mean,
bye. I don't know what you have going on in your life that has caused this, but we really need to not be part of it.
Agreed. Yeah, there's some going on so badly that it was like, oh, he turned down going down to L.A. because his family considerations. His family's not in Michigan. His family's in Florida, last we heard. Okay. Yeah. So what does it matter? And you're going to a place where it's infinitely better. At that time, you're going to a team that had 100 wins plus coming up, but you would actually have to produce. You would actually have to do something, and it's like you couldn't just skip out. It's kind of like Sue, and every time I hear about this, it drives me nuts. It's like, well, Sue wants to come back. He's talking to teams. But he wants to go to a contender only. Look, ass, you're like what, 38, 39 now? You don't have anything in the tank. You've tried this trick before where you don't want to put in the work. You don't want to go through training camp. You don't want to go through, exhibition. You just want to come in. You want to wait halfway through the season so you can see what teams are really good. And then you say, well, I'm available, but to a contender only. Get the hell out. You weren't that good at the end of your career. You have nothing left in your tank. No one's calling you, so stop it already. I'm glad that hopefully they were saying, well, the Eagles may want me back again. So he handpicks where he's going to go. Then he says, oh, look at all the rings I have because you come in 6 games to go. I'm sure everybody in that locker room would go, look, you ass, you haven't got beat up like we have, and you weren't a Superman. You're not going in first ballot, in the Hall of Fame. So who the hell do you think you are?
And that's one of the reasons why, I look at the Lions fans, and, they'll bullshit again. It's like, well, we got to go out. We got to make this trade. We got, time out here. Hang on. Not so fast.
Yeah.
Okay, so you pick up Sister Mary Elephant. Okay, is that really a game changer? No, but you don't really need a game changer at this point. You are either in contention or you're not, and I don't think that there was, I don't think overpaying at the deadline really is going to make much difference. You look at Minnesota, oh, they could have gone out, got a quarterback. Yeah, well, you tell me what's available out there. Now they pick up Dobbs from the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Great. I'm sure he's going to really lead you to the promised land, isn't he? No.
Everybody wants to find another Warner. He was just packing groceries just 3 weeks ago, and now he's taking his team to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay, when was that? How many decades ago was that? But, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, look around the league, Kenny, and you hit it right on the head. How many quarterbacks are out there, by the 7th game? Really good quarterbacks that you would want to trade, like an Atlanta thing. Jeez, and how that's going. But, well, go figure.
Yeah, well, the Spencer Rattler, he was the big name quarterback down there until they benched his ass.
How's Atlanta doing now, anyways?
4-4.
That's about where they should be.
And they're tied. They're tied for first place in that division with New Orleans.
God, can you believe that? God, that's like an MLB Comedy Central. You can be below 500 and still be the leader.
Yep.
It's like, how did that work out, Minnesota? By the way.
Yeah.
Good Lord. All right, talking about good Lord, we pushed this a little bit further than we were about. It was our holiday edition. Next week, more Detroit sports. Hang on, kids, because, yesterday's Sport G, we haven't even touched yet about Larkin, and clear the room when we do. All righty, so... Till that time, thank you so very much for being with the Detroit Sports Authorities, where you can pick us up anywhere you get the finer podcasts, and whether that be at iHeart, where we're at, or you get Podbean, or Spotify, or all those other ones I can't even name. So, for the Super CPA Ken Pocket and myself, John Sarver, thank you so very much for being with us today, and we'll see you again next week on the Detroit Sports Authority. You ready, Ken?
Yep.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Bye. See you, Kenny.
All right. Happy Halloweener.
Happy Halloween, sir. Bye now.
Bye.